Although he was never the lone back, when Eric Gray was given the ball, he always figured a way to impress at Tennessee. The former 5-star recruit looks to take on a big role for the Oklahoma Sooners this season as they try to make a run at the national title. But who is Eric Gray? In the Who Is series, we go through the backstories of up-and-coming collegiate and pro athletes. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps the video do better in the algorithm. If there's a player you want to see in future videos, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. Also, do you think Eric Gray will be a major part of Oklahoma's offense this season? Eric Dwayne Gray was born on November 4th, 1999, and grew up in the Memphis, Tennessee area. His father, Eric, played running back at Tennessee State from 1985 to 1987 and was Gray's running back coach in high school. His uncle, Maurice Hall, played running back at Ohio State from 2001 to 2004. Aside from his success on the field, off the field, Eric Gray was the middle school math tutor and raised money for Touchdown Against Cancer, a program affiliated with St. Jude's. Gray also held a 3.5 GPA. On the field, Gray quickly became an impact player. Originally, Eric Gray played quarterback up until 8th grade and transitioned to running back with the help of his father. Eric Gray attended LaSalle Collegiate School, rushing for 2,251 yards and 38 touchdowns as a sophomore in 2016. During the state title game, Gray would score the game-winning touchdown with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left in the game. His school won 12-9 to finish off a 14-0 season. As a junior, Gray rushed for 3,151 yards and 45 touchdowns, while also having 268 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns as well. In the state title game, Gray would rush for 281 yards and 5 touchdowns en route to a 41-13 win, which capped off a 13-0 season. As a senior, Gray rushed for 2,499 yards and 40 touchdowns, helping LaSalle to the state semifinal game, which they would lose, finishing the season 11-1. Gray finished his high school career as the Tennessee record holder for most touchdowns in a career with 138. He was a 2-time Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year, became the first ever player to be named Tennessee's Mr. Football 3 times. Gray was also a finalist for the Gatorade National Player of the Year award and played in the Army All-American game. According to 24/7 Sports Composite, Eric Gray was a 4-star recruit who was the 3rd best all-purpose back, 5th best player in Tennessee, and 184th best player nationally. He received over 24 different Division I offers from the likes of Alabama, Michigan, Penn State, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Originally, Gray committed to play for the University of Michigan after his junior year, but would decommit exactly 5 months after making his original commitment. The reason for the decommitment was the fact he was unable to visit the school because it was an 11-hour drive away. He started thinking about how his family would be able to come to games and watch his games. The decommitment saddened Wolverine fans who were excited to see Gray play in the maize and blue. But family, specifically his mother, was the most important thing for him, and he started needing to consider schools near home. Luckily for Gray, although he was a committed prospect, schools continued to call and text him. Gray told USA Today, "I definitely got text messages from somebody every day when I was committed. Just saying, I know you're committed, but if you ever have second thoughts." Texas A&M had respected Gray's decision after he committed to the Wolverines and did not contact him until after he decommitted, while Memphis continued aggressively recruiting the Tennessee native. Gray liked that nothing was official until the papers were signed, and liked the constant contact with coaches telling USA Today, "We want to feel important. That's a place where you're wanted, not tolerated. Just to know that you're still wanted, even though you're committed, they're still pushing for you, that's the type of school you want to go to." Gray's mother was unable to visit Texas A&M, so Gray crossed the school off his list. Ole Miss was an early factor in Gray's recruiting, but was never able to stand out, so they were crossed off the list as well. Eric Gray almost ended up at South Carolina, but they were just a little late to the party. As a result, many expected Gray to commit to play for Tennessee. Gray wanted to keep fans and analysts on their toes, so the night before signing day, Gray posted to Snapchat "Signing day tomorrow, 12 o'clock at LaSalle, Memphis, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, South Carolina." There was one team Gray did not include on his social media post, and that was Tennessee. Suddenly, text messages started pouring in with everyone asking why he did not include Tennessee. Gray told USA Today, "Everybody was texting me about it. What about Tennessee?" I was like, "Hey, you saw the 4 names. Everyone was confused, but no one knew Gray had snuck on a white Tennessee shirt and chose the Volunteers, telling commercial appeal, "I fell in love with Knoxville, going down there so many times." Didn't get a chance to go to Michigan really as much, but just being there in Knoxville with Coach Jeremy Pruitt, assistant coach Chris Weinke, and assistant coach Dave Johnson, it was really a family atmosphere, and that's why I chose it. Tennessee had not had a 10-win season since 2007, and Gray looked at that as a challenge. Pruitt and the staff talked about how Gray could help turn the program around. He told USA Today, "It's kind of what I went through in high school. They had never made the playoffs. They were a 5-win team." Gray loved the idea of being etched into history, also telling USA Today, "Those are the type of places where you get your jersey retired, where you go down and say, this is the guy that brought Tennessee back to being relevant." Coming out of high school, Eric Gray was projected to be a day 2 pick, and his comparison was to Kareem Hunt. According to 24/7 Sports, Gray is a dynamic back in the right offense that can be a multi-year impact starter at a Power 5 program and an early round NFL draft pick. Eric Gray would play right away at Tennessee, playing in all 13 of the Volunteers games and leading the team in rushing touchdowns with 4. He also finished second in rushing yards with 539 on 101 carries, averaging 5.3 yards per carry. His breakout game would come against Vanderbilt in the regular season finale, when he would rush for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns on 25 carries, averaging 9.8 yards per carry. One of his 3 touchdowns was a 94-yard run. Before the Vanderbilt game, Gray had not been given a lot of carries, but continued to practice hard. The 246-yard performance was the most by any Tennessee true freshman running back, surpassing Jamal Lewis, who had set the record in 1997. In the Gator Bowl, Gray rushed for 86 yards and 1 touchdown on 14 carries, while also having 34 receiving yards, and was named the Gator Bowl MVP. As a sophomore, Gray continued his success at running back, playing in 9 of Tennessee's games and starting 5 of the games, but missed the last game of the season against Texas A&M, which still remains a mystery on why he missed it. He rushed for 105 yards and a touchdown against Missouri, 128 yards against Kentucky, 123 yards and a touchdown against Arkansas, and 173 yards and a touchdown against Auburn. He finished the season rushing for 772 yards and 4 touchdowns on 157 carries, averaging 4.9 yards per carry, while also having 254 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. After the season, Eric Gray entered the transfer portal due to the NCAA investigation, which resulted in Jeremy Pruitt, the athletic director, and others being fired. According to 24/7 Sports transfer rankings, Gray was a 4-star recruit who's the second best running back in the transfer class behind DeMarcus Bowman. According to Matthew Ray from Volunteer Nation, Eric Gray had the chance to be among the Mount Rushmore of Tennessee running backs from a statistical standpoint. Gray decided to commit to Oklahoma and could be a special weapon for the Sooners this year. Ray continued to talk about Gray, saying he has been smashing records since middle school, and he was on pace to break some records at Tennessee. I would expect him to receive serious NFL looks after a year in Lincoln Riley's system. Gray should be a big part of the Sooners' offense this season, and one assistant basically said that Gray scares the crap out of him when it comes to playing against him. Gray impressed in the spring game and should be a name to watch this season. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, check out my other videos in the Who Is series. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, remember to embrace the grind.